Hello and happy Friday. Welcome to Doing Justice Brings Joy. Uh, I am your temporary host, William Adams, filling in for Stella Adams as she is traveling. Uh, and I believe we have her here.
Um,
Hello. Hello?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
A little bit,
Hi,
yeah.
everybody. I'm coming to you remotely from Chicago at the University of Illinois Chicago Law School's annual Fair Housing Conference. And so, as you can see, my picture's not clear. And so I'm going to do my reports and ask Thomas and William to update you on different things. But welcome everybody. William, you and Thomas are going to have to leave as I try to clear up this screen.
All right. Thomas, I think the first thing was you had a election update or
Yes, I do have an election update. I currently have the early vote totals from Wednesday. I haven't seen the ones from Thursday yet, but I will check later on the show to see if they have been loaded. And so I will share my screen if I can so that I can, let you know what I have. So,
all right.
okay. And so what I have here is the early vote overview, which I will remind you and for those who haven't been listening before that the primaries that are currently being contested are two Republican primaries for towns in Forsyth County for their town councils in Rural Hall and Tobaccoville. Uh, in Sanford, the Democratic primary for the City Council Ward 3. And in Mecklenburg County, there are quite a few primaries, Democratic primaries. You have the mayor and at large city council seats, as well as districts 1, 3, 4, and 5. There's also a Republican Party primary for District 6 on the city council as well. So you
Okay.
can so you can see that as Charlotte is the largest city with the most separate primaries. That the vast majority of the votes are coming from there, and so yeah, I think I will go into the details of Mecklenburg County shortly. And so, but I will first start off by saying that uh, since we were last on, the early vote sites, the additional early vote sites have opened, and the total vote is increased by so instead of like about 100 or so people voting each day, you now have around 2,000. So I think
Gotcha,
that
gotcha, gotcha.
a significant increase, and so I see if I can get the numbers for yesterday, and while I'm on this topic, I'll remind everyone listening that they can uh, go to the polls today until I believe it is uh,
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, and tomorrow
Oh, I'm sorry, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock today, and I believe it is 3 o'clock tomorrow will be the final day of the primary early vote and the same day registration. For that, but you can still uh, vote on Tuesday, which will be the primary election day.
So, Thomas, you said that you're seeing really good turnout on these early votes, around 2,000 votes a day. Is that correct?
Yes, 2,000 votes per day. If you look on the bottom chart, you will see that there was, say, less than 1,000, and so we have over 3,000 uh, as of total votes as of the second, and over 5,000 as of Wednesday. And so, yes, the votes have increased greatly since the additional sites have been opened up. And so I will let you see here the Charlotte early votes. You can see that the early votes that they are that District 6 has more voters than the other districts. Yes, that's because in addition to the Republican primary for that council seat, they also have Democratic affiliated voters can also vote in the primaries for mayor and the at-large city council seats. So
Okay.
I see that there are more there. I think there are fewer in District 7. So I think that's one of the districts that does not have a primary that does not have a council primary. And I think it's also the most Republican district, if I remember correctly. I think I might be able to show that in a minute. So if you look at the early voting sites, I don't know where they are, but I will say that the one I'm got the cursor over, the Hal Marshall Annex, was the original voting site that has been open, from the beginning, and the others have been open, on this starting from Tuesday. And so, as you can see, many people are beginning to use those sites, especially the University City Library site. And yes, there are, still people sending in their mail-in votes. You can see that there. So if you want to look at the breakdowns by party or by race, you can see those. And I will remind people that, here you can see in Charlotte that the vast
Again,
took Democratic ballots because, of course, there's only the one Republican primary. But you can see here, the actual party registration of the voters. And so you see that mostly Democrats, but there are, a number of unaffiliated voters who have voted early. And I think that you can see that as far as the racial breakdown, you can see that the majority are the Black and African American population, and there is a significant white population as well, racially speaking. I don't see too much from the other groups. So let's see if I can.
Okay. Uh, uh,
So
uh
yeah,
Thomas, will you get a chance? Can you
can you
do
do?
Wake County and Morrisville?
Uh,
Um, they're not
those.
in this primary.
Oh, they're not in this primary. Okay,
No, they'll be in the primary data that starts on the 17th. I mean, is
gotcha.
that, yeah.
Yeah. So the listed are the only primaries this cycle because these are partisan primaries, and I think most of the municipal races being contested either are nonpartisan or do not have the need for the partisan primaries, and so these are the only ones that are in this cycle. But there is the additional primary cycle, which will feature most of the municipal races that are being contested this year. And so I think,
Understood.
So, Thomas, did I get my 5,000 votes?
what'd you say?
So, how many votes again total have been cast?
Okay, yes, it's over 5,000 votes have been cast, and so the total in Mecklenburg is over 5,000, as you can see, and like I said, there will be like several thousand more, votes that will be coming in, today and tomorrow. And as I said before, I will see if I can get the data from yesterday loaded, before the show is out. And so if I do that, then I'll have it. So I think if you're interested
Well, I
in,
think that no, I'm excited. I set a goal for my listeners of 5,000 votes, and so they've met that goal. And very hopeful that we can get at least, I'm going to set a benchmark because of the Saturday polling. And I'm going to set that we reach 9,000 votes by 9,000 early votes. That's our new target. You can do it, Charlotte. You can do it. And then we will set a goal of, we still want to set a goal of 10%. I mean, you all had such a low turnout in your municipality at 4.8%. And I think that was total votes, not just early votes in 2023. That we need to be stretching you to 10% of the folks, or so that you'll be on par with the kind of sad but pitiful turnout that other municipalities had. We need you in double digits at the end of this process, and I need to see high performing Black districts. I need to see high performing Black districts. So I'm very, this is supporting positives in and we'll have to see if we can get Charlotte motivated and get into double digits this year in their race. What's going on in Sanford, Tommy?
Well, the one thing about Sanford is if you see on the first screen, since there's only the one primary, there are only about 50 people have, voted early, and so I think that there, won't be a very high total number of votes in that, single ward, but and so I think that there's, not too much, detail that I can give, with such a, low turnout so far. But I think that, you can see that there are, a few people coming in to the early vote. I
Now,
will say, as
yeah,
far
okay.
I will say that as far as your goal of getting, say, a 10% overall turnout for this race, I don't think that will necessarily happen overall because these are the primaries. But I think that if I would, but I think that to do that, you would need to get total votes in fifth in the 40 to 50,000 vote range to do that. And so if you see here where the the total voters, I have them organized here by race and party. I think I showed a couple of weeks ago that the districts are all of similar size. I think one of them, maybe District 5, is a little smaller than the others, but but there's not much difference population wise. But I think in terms of the distribution of voters, I think there's a significant difference, and so I can go down, starting with
Yeah.
District 1 and okay. I think you can see the totals on the left. Those overall portions won't change, so you can use those for comparison.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Rural Hall, do we have 10 voters yet?
No, but those are just the early voters, and I think the voting site is, I think, at the Board of Elections in Winston-Salem, and so it may be
Uh,
that people are not necessarily going to drive down
Drive distance. Yeah.
northern Forsyth County, to
Do we know how far Rural Hall? Because that's something we can really maybe help them with. Do we know how far Rural Hall is from Winston-Salem?
I didn't measure the distance, but I did look at it, and Rural Hall and Tobacconville are both at the far north of Forsyth County, so they're almost on the county line. So they are not far from that. So they're about as far as you can get from Winston-Salem and be in the county. But yeah, I don't know how many people will be, voting early. I think one thing I will mention is that they recently rearranged the primaries in Forsyth County so that they now have these parties and primaries in those towns. And so I think this is the first one I could see where there had, the actual uh, primary elections in those towns. Because I know that there was a law passed a couple of years ago that changed some of the races in that county.
But one thing we may be able to do in terms of advocacy is we can talk to Forsyth County organizations about having an early vote site rather than, I mean, because we know they can do it because they did it in Charlotte. The Charlotte annex is not computers. And so I don't
Yeah,
know if folks heard me, but interaction with folks and with advocacy groups in Forsyth County, especially in that area, should talk about having a remote early vote site in the northern part of the county, since we know that can be done because it was done in Charlotte. The Charlotte initial early vote site was not at the Board of Elections, so there's no requirement that it be at the Board of Elections in the future to allow those citizens to have a real opportunity to participate in the early vote cycle. Any other interesting data that you want to share with us about the early vote this time? And we'll have our final tallies about the races on next Friday. Anything you want to tell us, Thomas?
Uh, I think I will pause for now, see if I can upload the data, and if there's some time for me to come back on, I, will share any new numbers that come in, and I may find a couple of other things to show you as well.
Sounds like a plan. We'll look forward to an update near the end of our presentation. Thank you so much. And and now we will talk about something that is critically important to me and my listeners. We are continuing to discuss the target facts. People, I am so excited. The I'm going to call the right one because I'm so excited, but we have a major union has joined the boycott on Labor Day. And Target Corporation's shares declined the most since mid-August after the American Federation of Teachers, AFT, the second largest U.S. teacher union, endorsed a boycott against the retailer's decision to end some diversity programs and pressure from conservative activists and the U.S. government. The endorsement from the 1.8 million member union was announced during Labor Day activities in Chicago that were attended by Atlanta area pastor Jamal Harris Bryant. So I want folks to be real clear that the leader of this movement and the one who's going to tell us to stop, no other Black institution, no other Black national advocate has the authority of the people to cancel or this boycott. And until Target understands that and will meet with him and his team, because he doesn't go alone into meetings. He brings the team of people who stood in support initially. They are in the room. And now he's going to be adding representatives from the American Federation of Teachers to that list. Target shares have dropped another 3.9% on Tuesday, more than the overall market that was also experiencing a drop. And the most the company saw its shares at when it was announced that on April 20th, when they announced the Peter Principle movement of the chair, he was moved up from from CEO to chair of the board, and we're supposed to think that him not being CEO but him being chairman of the board, we're not supposed to understand that that's a promotion, not a demotion. Target rolled back promises to help people who have been loyal customers because of a president who is trying to roll back history and ignore the struggle for freedom and justice, said the AFT president, Randy Weingartner, in a statement. Those customers who have helped Target's bottom line now feel set aside, ignored, and dismissed. And I will tell you that we still live in a country where, on the pitiful salaries that we provide teachers, they are expected to spend their money on school supplies for their classrooms because we're not providing them with adequate support and financing to do their job. Just wanted to get that out there for you to think about. The back to school season is one of the busiest shopping periods for retailers, as many households stock up on supplies, clothes, and other items ahead of a new academic year. It's a crucial period for Target, which is seeking to rekindle growth against the backdrop of weak discretionary spending and uncertain consumer sentiment. Oh, we're certain. There's no uncertain consumer sentiment. Black folks and all folks are tired of these corporations. They're tired of the false promises and the empty words that come out of these corporate mouths. I don't want to digress because I want to make sure my people who consume this podcast understand that this this economic boycott is real and is having real consequences. The article I am reading to you from today is from Bloomberg. Okay, this is not a Mickey Mouse service. And so you need to understand that and pay attention. To now have labor and teachers working with us, I think is going to push us across the finish line, Bryant said in a phone interview on Monday. Target is going to realize it's not just a lone pastor going after them, but a movement. Target is among several dozen large companies, including Amazon.com Inc. and Walmart Inc. that have scaled back or ended diversity, equity, and inclusion programs over the last year. starting with a June 2024 campaign by anti-DEI crusader Robbie Starbuck. The move gained more strength after Donald Trump said his administration would root out illegal DEI that discriminates against white workers. It remains to be seen whether the teachers union will boost the boycott's impact. The company's slump persisted during the last quarter, though the drop in sales was less than what analysts anticipated. Sales and foot traffic also improved from previous period, a suggestion that it was moving past the backlash. That is not true. Okay, because you know it's not true because I gave you the foot traffic reports every week during the second quarter. Okay, now, did the foot traffic drop by 5% every week? No, because it had dropped so dramatically, 5% a week over 3 months. There was not a whole lot of foot traffic left. So a drop in foot traffic of 2% or 3% is still what? A drop in foot traffic. So they want to say that it increased, the foot traffic increased. No, the drop decreased. You know, it's all in how you want to shape the narrative. But we watched the narrative drop week after week. I'm going to look at Placer and see if I can find the report on what their year over year drop was during these critical weekends between August 15th and Labor Day. So I'm going to look for that. So, you know, Target, they keep trying to spin it like it's not the results of our work, of the collective work of the 250,000 people who signed up to boycott Target. William, what do you think about what's going on with Target? Thomas, what do you think is going on with Target? How do you feel about it?
Well, for me, I think Target is still in a mode where they are trying to, uh, minimize, or deny the effectiveness of the boycott and proceed with business as usual if they can. I think that, what prompted this was, I think, an idea, from their point of view that if they were to get out of this DEI commitments, that could, ingratiate them with customers in, this new political environment. But I think, if, they have to acknowledge that the boycott is successful, then that's, not a tenable option for them, and they, will have to recommit. And so I think that, they're still not prepared to do something like that. And so I think, that's why you're not seeing like the really meaningful action that they're looking for. And so I think that, you know, like many boycotts, it will have to continue for some time, until the message gets through.
Yeah, according to Fortune, okay, Target foot traffic is still suffering 6 months post boycott, and it has fallen for six straight months, and that is including August. So I don't know how they can. I don't know how they can continue. They can continue to spend this stuff. Target's stock today is at 92.771, so it's $92.77, and that's down from a high of $161 a share, down to $92 a share at this point. So the boycott is going to continue. They will have to report out their Labor Day, since Labor Day was Monday. They'll have to report out their Labor Day sales in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be able to see their continued distress. We continue to have there's a lot going on aside from the Target boycott. And politically, as well, is very important. Were you able, Thomas, to get that data?
Yes,
The
I
new
did
data,
get it
is it out
downloaded.
yet?
And so, yes, I will uh, refresh and have it presented to you. So yes, you will be seeing that.
All right, well, let's load it up. You know, sorry about that, folks. One of our beloved bus drivers here in Durham has been is facing immediate deportation because we don't have the system does not have a off ramp for him, an on ramp for him to stay in America. Um, the Trump administration has gotten rid of the temporary protected status for Hondurans, and they must self deport or face deportation from the government, um, the Hondurans, by Monday. It's a deadline. Now, people in Durham, Duke faculty and staff and students all are working to protect um, the bus driver here in Durham. I'm looking for his name. 30 days ago, President Trump announced that he was ending temporary status for people from Honduras. The decision has received renewed attention in North Carolina ahead of the September 8th deadline. When TPS expires for 51,000 Hondurans living in the United States, activists and students at Duke University have come together in support of longtime university bus driver and employee Luis Alonso Juarez, who has been living in the country since 1995 and lawfully since 1999. He now is slated to lose his legal status on Monday. Mr. Juarez will lose his status on Monday. So, what is temporary protected status? It's a designation that can be made by the Department of Homeland Security that allows foreign nationals of certain countries to temporarily live and work in the United States. The program exists to serve foreign nationals living in the U.S. who cannot safely return to their home countries because of ongoing armed conflict, a natural disaster, or an epidemic, or other extraordinary and temporary conditions. People who are approved for TPS are temporarily exempt from being removed from the United States and can receive legal authorization to work here. They can also apply for travel authorization. Once somebody is granted TPS, they cannot be detained. Listen to me. They cannot be detained by DHS based on their immigration status. But come Monday, Mr. Juarez will face deportation, and you can bet your bottom dollar that they're going to be waiting at his door for him to open it so they can take him away. It's just unconscionable. It's just unconscionable. And what can we do? Disqualifications include being convicted of a felony or at least 2 misdemeanors or failing to meet the registration and renewal requirements. None of these were issues for Mr. Juarez. So currently there are 11 countries that have TPS status until later this year. So, and that's Myanmar, El Salvador, Ethiopia, Haiti. They've already, for many Haitians, they've already given them taken away their status. Lebanon, Somalia, South Sudan, Syria, Ukraine, and Yemen. These countries, we understand and know what's going on there. And the war, famine, whatever, those things are ongoing and getting worse, not better. But according to DHS, the Secretary of Homeland Security is required to review the conditions in a designated country and to determine if they warrant allowing TPS to be extended at least 60 days before an active designation expires. And he has not done that for the people of Honduras. A report published by the Congressional Research Service last week showed that as of March 31st, there were 1.3 million nationals from the designated countries approved to live here under TPS. The countries with the highest number of TPS recipients were Venezuelans with 600,000, Haitians with 3,300,000, El Salvador with 170,000, and Ukraine with 100,000 folks. Um, he has recently um, taken away TPS status from Honduras. Um, there are other countries that will expire, including Afghanistan. This is the one that bothers me the most. It also terminated Haitian status, which is currently under challenge in court. This is I knew at some point this would hit home and hit home hard. I knew that many of the people from Haiti and other countries that I know would be involved in this process. But here we have a bus driver at Duke University that has, over the years, touched so many lives on his bus service because of the nature of it. He played music. He was a storyteller. He was very important part of the education and the cultural experience that makes Duke a world-class university. It was even said that he was going to participate as a guest lecturer in several classes coming up around music and culture in the anthropology division. And he was on the syllabus for this year until this tragedy in terms of losing his status occurred. And the really frustrating thing about the TPS system is there's no onboard to other types of activity. So we're going to keep watch on this. We're going to see how we respond here at home in protecting these folks. Tommy, show us that data and walk us out of here.
All right.
I don't see your presenter screen.
No, I took it off. I will put it back on.
Okay. In the meantime, welcome, Mark.
How are you doing, you fine folks, and everything along those lines? I was surprised I didn't see you Wednesday, Stella, at the candidates forum where all the Ward 1, 2, 3, and mayoral candidates were there and all along those lines. So, Durham did have that. I think it was the women's group that had organized it, but they definitely had Democratic women, I believe it was, but they definitely had a good turnout. About a little over 200 people who were there to listen to the different candidates. But I was surprised I didn't see you at the event, Stella, because I was like, Stella's usually going to be at these kind of things and all along those lines, but did not see
Yeah,
you.
I'm in Chicago.
You're in Chicago, so you can't be
I'm
everywhere.
in Chicago I'm at a major fair housing event as we plan strategies on how we're going to continue to do the good trouble that we are known as the fair housing movement to do.
No, yes, y'all do some
In
good trouble
light
on here.
of the in light of the subversion that is going on with this administration trying to gut civil rights to the core, taking
Oh
away
yeah.
our money, and attacking institutions and individuals that do this work. We just this week, while I'm here, the Justice Department sent a letter to the city of Asheville saying that the report from the reparations committee might violate the law, and they listed fair housing as one of the laws they were violating. Let
Oh
me
wow.
say this, people, so you hear it. I am a court recognized expert on the Fair Housing Act and its regulations. And I can tell you without a doubt that the Asheville recommendations are not a violation of the Fair Act. They are, in fact, supporting the duty of the city of Asheville to affirmatively further fair housing,
Right.
which is statutory at 808 C through F of the Fair Housing Act. So I want you to understand that that's some BS, and you don't have to worry about it. I'm happy to be supportive, but there are attacks also. The North Carolina General Assembly is trying to dismantle the North Carolina Human Relations Commission's ability to investigate fair housing cases. Get that, okay?
Wow.
We have, they already stripped OH them from doing EEOC investigations. Now they're coming after the Fair Housing Act. We're going to be calling on you to call on your legislators this week and next week and tell them, keep your hands off our fair housing. But let me promise you, people, the
Yeah, that
federal
makes a
fair
lot of
housing law
yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Housing was a major issue that
still
the candidates.
stands. And there are over 100 of us.
Yeah. I was just saying
It
housing
was a
was a
big
major.
issue there.
Huh? Yeah, housing was a major issue that was discussed. Several of the candidates brought up housing in their campaign conversations. One of the lesser known candidates, I forgot his name, I think it's Lloyd or something like that, was talking about how 1 in 5 of the houses that are here in the area are actually investment housing. So definitely housing and gentrification was a major conversation. Like I said, he was one of the lesser known candidates and everything like that. But definitely the mayor, current mayor, was there and was trying to defend his positions and all along those lines. And Ajane Bell
Yeah,
was
so
there.
I'm here in the best. I've got some new paints, some new quick arrows ready.
You guys do
So
what?
Tommy,
Yep.
you got your data up,
Yep,
and
there's
Yep.
let's
a
put it on the screen so the three of us can talk about it.
All right.
So what are the new numbers coming out of Charlotte?
Uh, I'll start from the beginning. So as you can see,
Got to read them out.
yeah, you're gonna have to
Uh
change your goal of 9,000.
huh. Read it to me, Tommy, because the numbers are
All
too
right.
small.
Okay. There are 8,580 total votes across all of the counties, and then Mecklenburg County. That number is almost 9,000. And so if you look at the Charlotte breakdown, it appears that there are 8,800 or so voters, almost 9,000 already. And so in Charlotte, I think over
All right. So
Yeah, okay, you can see that there are over 8,300 took the Democratic Party ballot. About 500, a little more than that, took the Republican Party ballot. And if you see on the breakdown that the votes are increasing uh, greatly uh, across the various districts, especially the University City Library District I highlight. And if you see, there are now over 1,000 people who voted in each district except for District 7, which, if you will recall,
Only has one Republican primary, right?
I believe Republican
Or
is
just the
more
school
Republican
board?
than the other districts,
I mean,
but did
just the
not
mayor.
have a Republican primary, unlike District 6, which did. So there are fewer from District 7, but I think if you see the total number of voters, that's
Well, the
still,
mayor's race is also in all the districts, right?
yes, there's a Democratic primary for the mayor's races and the at-large city council races. So you can see here in the top. And so,
All right, Charlotte, you have done the thing. So now I got to give y'all a double digit early vote count. I'm gonna go with 12,500, and I'm gonna go with an election day turnout so that we top 20,000. That's what we're going to be at. We're going to look for at least 7,500 people to vote on election day. But this is some excellent turnout. I can't be mad at you because
okay.
y'all have done your thing. It's not, I got babies, so these are baby steps. But y'all took these baby steps and you're walking. You're not crawling anymore. You're walking, Charlotte. You're walking. This is what we wanted to do. We wanted to get you walking before 2026. We wanted to see some organization on the ground. We wanted to see some unexpected turnouts. And y'all have met the moment of my desire on this. So I'm very excited. And I'm hoping that I can do the same kind of training in Durham. And it looks like, Mark, if that forum is any indication, um, with 200 people showing up for the
Yeah.
forum, that we're going to have at least 200 people on the ground working for or turnout. So that's outstanding. Were there highlights from did something really stand out to you about
Well, there were a couple of things that stood
the
out. I
event?
mean, there was some strong candidates. Elijah King had some good points and everything along those lines. Chelsea Cook, and some of the incumbents, including Mark Anthony Middleton, did a good job, and the mayor of standing their ground and defending their positions and all along those lines. There was actually a moment that I think Jackie talked about where I think the mayor was talking about students that had built houses near Central, but there was some uh, confrontation as to whether that was when that was done, which party was done that, because I think Jackie was saying it was done earlier in the decades and had been done closer to like the old
During
hillside,
Elaine's
yeah, doing the old hillside days and everything. Whereas I think the mayor was trying to make it seem like it was a more recent initiative and everything like that. But as I was watching and listening to some of the candidates, right now this is just my prediction, and I could be wrong, kind of like your predictions and everything in terms of numbers. But I think that it's going to come down to a runoff between the current mayor and the a former mayor's daughter, that being Anjane Bale. But there's a wild card in the race, and it's a wild card that and everything like that. And I talked to a couple of people out of the Latin community and everything like that. But in my mind, and I've heard him now speak a couple of times, I think that Pablo could be the wild card because he's got an education background, he's got a activism background. Because I know you've probably done some work with him at Student U and stuff like that, and we haven't had a Hispanic candidate that has been mayor. We've had both white and black mayors, but we haven't had a Hispanic mayor. So I personally think that he could be the wild card because of some of the things that are going on, like with ICE and everything. I don't know if you heard this, but we were
Yeah.
talking about on the news earlier today. But in Georgia, they raided a Hyundai plant, which is a car dealership and everything like that, and got a number of workers that were working there that did not have
450.
right.
450.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier on the news, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and maybe even Thomas's thoughts as well. We got a couple of foreign companies that are here in the Research Triangle Park, but a lot of those are from European companies and everything like that. So I'm wondering, and I'm not saying that they're not, but how many other people that work at Rome Polnick and GlaxoSmithKline, because we know that Rome Polnick is a French company, Glaxo is an English company, and everything like that. But I'm thinking that some of those workers may not even have their correct paperwork and everything like that, but they are of a different shade. So they might not be getting as much of
Okay.
a notice on that and everything like that because they're of a different shade. But we do know that in the park there are a number of companies that are from European based companies and everything like that. So maybe I'll get myself in hot water. But what's your take on that, Stella? Because I'm wondering how much
Well,
they would.
in Alabama, they arrested an executive from Mercedes Benz. Isn't that where the Mercedes Benz plant is?
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
what.
and they arrested him, and because of his paperwork not being, and Germany was like, wait a minute, we might have to rethink this whole thing. But what Alabama did was they changed the law that said he was violating. They changed whatever law they said he was violating, and but South Korea has done a formal um, dispute with the U.S. government, saying, "Wait a minute, these are our people,
Mhm.
and they are sovereign citizens, and we expect all diplomatic um, respect to our people." And the ambassador is going, make sure they don't end up in some, you know, Alcatraz. Um,
Yeah.
what is
But
it?
not only
Alligator
that,
Alcatraz type
Alligator and
facility.
Alcatraz, which got voted against and everything. But not only that, Stella, I'm worried about if they're going after the kids, and apparently they got some kids that were from Guatemala that they were trying to ship back to Guatemala. What's to say that they're going to actually ship them back to their homes or not ship them into a Epstein type environment? Because we do know that that is a real legitimate concern of many folks around the world. This whole notion of child labor, but also child abuse in terms of sex trafficking and everything like that. So, and we know some of the history around what Trump is alleged in from his past person and everything like that, or his past buddy who passed away and everything like that. So I'm just worried about us getting some of these folks that are, particularly our young brothers and sisters, that might get trapped in a situation that they have no control over.
When you take away the legal protections, they don't have the right to legal advocacy, and they're here without clearance. It's very scary that they might end up in a trafficking situation. But South Korea is not taking this line down, and I think you can't have it both ways. You can't tell foreign countries you have to invest in American plants and then raid those plants. So earlier we talked earlier about the temporary protected status.
Right.
And I don't know if you heard the Target update, but I got to shout it out. The
Yeah.
American Federation of Teachers, 1.8 million members, have signed on with Dr. Jamal Bryant's Target Back.
Yep.
Um, and, uh, and their
And
stock price is down to $92 and some change. And we're waiting. We don't have the store traffic for Labor Day because that's this week. So it'll be, I should have that foot traffic report next week or certainly by the second week in the month,
second week of the month,
third
or
week
third
in
week,
the month.
third week of the month. Hey, Stella, along those same lines and everything, because you said that, I was thinking to myself, I've been watching some old TV as well as some of the football games and stuff like that, both college and pros, or at least one pro game. I'll watch another one this afternoon and everything. But I was just wondering, it doesn't seem like there's been, I don't remember in the past, I saw a lot of commercials for Target, as we used to like to call it back in the day, and everything along those lines, or Target. But I don't think that I've seen a lot of their advertising because this is definitely one of their big sales boosts when they're trying to get people to buy school supplies, both in terms of the clothes and also the papers and other kind of supplies as well and everything. But I don't remember seeing the kind of push that I used to see in the past. Now, maybe I just missed those commercials, or maybe it's the impact of the boycott because I don't think that I've seen as much of the advertising as I used to do for Target and everything like that.
Yeah, so since their target market has changed, they're not advertising to the common man. I saw a report today that retailers are gonna upscale because while middle class and lower and working class people are tightening their belts,
Hmm.
the rich are spending. So they're not going to discount their prices in the retail shops, and they're moving their target audience to the ones who are still using spending money. We're spending money on. We're being more frugal in our use of dollars and cents compared because we're facing uncertainties that if you can buy your way out of it, if you don't have the money troubles, you're in that top 1-2%, and money is not a problem. I think I'm gonna join your colleagues when they start talking about Elon Musk next week on your foreign affairs show and his $1 trillion
His $1 trillion and
deal.
all along those lines.
Interested to
Apparently,
see how they
we
how
had
they
a Durham connected. Yeah, we had a Durham connected person that was well, at least he was married until they got divorced recently. With meeting with Trump and his allies and everything, because I've always thought of Bill Gates as being relatively liberal. He was at an AI conference where he was invited and Elon wasn't, and that took place yesterday and everything. So we do know that he, until they got divorced, he had that Duke connection through his ex-wife and everything like that. I did have a question for
Mhm.
you really quickly because there's a business that I'm not sure if they're liberal or if they're conservative or which way they would fall on, but they were going under. But I heard they're coming back, and I know a lot of people that love them and everything. From what your understanding are is and everything is Bed Bath and Beyond a liberal company or a conservative company. I don't know enough about their ownership, and I don't know if you do as well. But I did see that they were making a return because they were going under, but now they're making a return and everything like that. But I don't know their politics.
I'm not sure their politics either. What I do find is that companies that mix their politics with their products
Hmm.
have made a choice about who their audience is, right?
Right.
And who it is that they cater to. And I find that most businesses tend to have very conservative views around regulation and around things that will um, they don't like to be regulated, but
Right.
that puts consumers in danger, right? Because there's certain risks inherent in deregulation, especially when you're in the cusp of new technology, new industry, new opportunities. There's also the opportunity to exploit consumers. And so tend to view all corporations as conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I do see some owners in conservative that will, on their own dime, get involved in conservative causes. And they're, quite frankly, if you have an altruistic view on life, and money is not as important, accumulate the same level of greed. The level of greed is not there. It's more, and it's more distributed amongst your workers. But there's not
Right.
a
Yeah, that makes sense. I just looked up one of their campaign forms. That
corporation in the Fortune 500 between the boardroom and the workers in just god awful differences in pay and benefits. And in a stable um, capitalistic system that is working according to the model, the workers, the owners, and the management, there's a level of balance. And what we have now is you have the managing directors, the CEOs, have outweighed power, even against the investors. Okay, the investors at Tesla did not get what they wanted. They had he made it so they had to bribe him to be the richest man in the world and become the first trillionaire to stay with. But they didn't prohibit him from doing all the things that had brought Tesla's brand down.
oh yeah,
And oh, thank you, Miss Scott. I appreciate you so much.
yeah. They said they wanted to join the screen. They want to know if we got a Discord account. We don't have a Discord account for Prod TV yet, but we may have to set one of those up. We do have a Twitch account, so we have to see about Discord. I do know we sometimes air stuff on TikTok and Instagram, but we'll have to explore Discord and see about that as well. There's too many of these platforms. Thomas knows them all.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. One of the things I learned a lot about AI at this conference as a tool to do investigations.
Mm-hmm.
So the young people are bringing the technology in. Oh, and Thomas, um, I promised Chris Brancart that I'd let you help him. He's designed some kind of system using what's that protocol, that code thing that you do. Um, and so he's trying to learn at my age how to do coding. And I was like, well, Thomas knows how to do coding. Why don't you just talk to him? Because we're going to we are preparing. I want the people to know that we are prepared and prepared um, to 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 continue the good trouble, to continue to do justice. Okay,
Yep.
and we're going to go old school and underground, and we're going to use new tech and new ideas, and we're going to take on some new targets.
Oh
You're
yeah.
going to shut us down from working in one way? Not a problem. Your racism has gotten so bad that we don't even have to try to look for hidden intent because y'all are just talking about it openly and online. So thank you for that. Um, Emmanuel Josh 44. We're looking forward to figuring out how we can get you more actively engaged in our pod. Um, and we thank you for giving us the love in the comments. People, we are running over. Well, we run into the hour and a half format a whole lot. Mark, I'm gonna tell you, I've been trying to get it down to an hour, and not to
No, that's
90 minutes,
okay. A lot of the
so that
shows
we
go
can get
over.
to those rebroadcasts. But I can say that we are, what we're sharing with the people is real and important. Charlotte, thank you. Thank you to my viewers in Charlotte for all you've done to get these early vote numbers. Um, it's sad to say that these early vote numbers are matching your 2023 output for the entire election. So that gives me hope um, that the second primary we can turn out more voters, and on election day we can really astound folks and have a phenomenal turnout. Maybe hit the 100,000 mark.
Oh yeah.
Um, I'm setting high goals for you because you've been knocking my goals down. I asked for 5,000 today, and you gave me almost 10. So I don't even know, and I'm confident that we're going to be able to reach that 20,000 plus on election day because it's a small task to get there. Um, Thomas, any last words? Thomas, any last words for us?
Uh, yes, I do have some last words. I will show you on the results from the 2023 primaries at which we have. And so there
And what's
was
the bottom
a.
line?
These are the number of votes that were cast in the 2023 primary. These are all Democratic Party primaries, and so you can see that the total was around a little less than 25,000 for the Charlotte mayor's primary, and I guess is that it would be somewhat similar for the at-large council members, but you can't see that because you can actually vote for four of those. And so, if you want a number to look for as far as next week, maybe
And was that
25.
second primary?
Yeah, for the primary.
All right, so now I got to give you a higher. We got 30,000 people. Got to hit 30,000. But I'm still holding out for the election that we're going to get 100,000 people to vote.
That would be
So
ideal.
thank you for that. And we'll be doing preliminary stats and facts around the Durham primary, previous primary total, and the primary total. And then we'll set our targets, and then we'll start monitoring them. So we'll set the targets next week. We'll get our first updates on the early voting in. Here are the ones I'm going to be tracking because we can't track the whole state. We're going to track Durham. We're going to track oh, Fayetteville. My eyes on a particular candidate in a particular ward, trying to make sure he makes it to the ballot. And I'm going to So I'm very excited about the Fayetteville race. I'm also going to be looking at Morrisville. There are a couple of interesting elections there. Um, in one, in there's a race between two Indian Americans with differing politics around Indian politics, but there is kind of this it's really interesting, and we'll talk about it more next week. The Morrisville primaries and at-large seats are going to be very fun to watch. Very fun to watch. So that don't think that we just look at what's going on in African American community. We also are monitoring our Southeast Asian friends and our Latino, Latinx community, and our Haitian community, and we're going to be following the case of our beloved bus driver, Al Juarez, and what happens with him and how the community rallies around him. So those are the things we're going to be watching next week. I'll give you an update on what we found here in Chicago, um, and the kind of cases we're going to be watching. I'm going to be looking and talking to my folks in Asheville and asking them what they need. I've worked closely with a number of the people who worked on that reparations report. I know it was an entire community activity. It has been well thought out and well vetted. It is based in those theories that are required under the affirmatively furthering fair housing provisions. I will take the time this week to read the other provisions and give you an update on that. We are still having fun. Final thing I need to get done before we get off the air. The North Carolina Human Relations Commission's um, ability to investigate fair housing cases is under attack. It is under attack right now. Find out from your local commission what they know about it and how you can help us preserve this important part of our enforcement of our basic civil rights. Um, and there's no reason for them to take away the funding and the support necessary to do the civil rights work. But I promise you, civil rights and the enforcement of civil rights is not dead. We have um, a storehouse, and we're here preparing, and we're here in Chicago preparing for how we are going to do good trouble and do justice
Mhm.
across this country. So I want to thank you all for talking to me today, and I want to thank you all for participating in this episode of Doing Justice Brings Joy.